Actor Terrence Howard was recently a guest in the Joe Rogan podcast, and he claimed that he was about to kill gravity. What does that mean? I don't know. He said a lot of other sort of what I might describe as crazy claims. That doesn't mean they are crazy or he's crazy. I think that's just a way to describe them. Terrence Howard has been on a tear for years of, mathematics and equations, and he's got 97 patents and all this stuff. I don't know. He's got like this new career of sorts. So when I saw him going Joe Rogan, I thought, oh, this will be something to cover, right? So let's dive in. If you're new to the channel, y'all, and you like content like this, please hit that subscribe button. I put out a new video every day, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do not miss a day. And please hit that like button, veterans. That really helps out the videos. So thank y'all so much for the support there. And of course, comment down below. What do you think? Did Terrence Howard kill gravity? Let's find out. All right. First clip I'm going to show y'all is just, this is how the podcast starts off. No joke. It was fascinating.
By day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
How did you get started with all this?
I didn't come into this world the way everybody else does, I don't think. I used to think that everybody had the similar experience, but like if I asked you, what was your first memory in life? What would it be?
I don't think I know.
My first memory was almost like when you're dreaming and you're falling and you hit the bottom and you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first memory, but I didn't wake up here. I was inside my mother's womb.
By day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, all day.
Okay, so he basically goes on to tell that, yeah, he remembered being in the womb of his mother. He remembered being born, and it was crazy. And he talked about how he used to shine a light on his child through the mom's belly. Right. And he did it for like a week. And on the last day that he didn't do it, the baby was like, hey, where's that light? And he played some music along with it, too. So the baby was like wondering where the music is and stuff. I don't know. But I have heard of people remembering stuff like that from their birth or really early in their childhood in the womb. And that's fascinating. I don't know. They say that our memories don't form yet completely, but I don't know, right? So, and that's how the podcast started. I just thought, oh, okay, this is going to be a good one. He's a fascinating character no matter how you break it down. So here's clip number 1. I got 3 more clips after this, all right? Stay with me, y'all. Okay, hang on. Stay with me, y'all. Let's restart that. Take the volume right here. Here we go, y'all.
Time for a new laptop?
You know what's going on.
Government,
They do not want you. We're about to kill gravity. We're about to kill their god, gravity, and they don't want that.
Towards the
Here we
center.
go. Here we go. From the beginning.
I have 2 groups of vortexes, which are just like tornadoes, spinning tornadoes that are pointing towards the center. As I highlight this object here, you'll see it, that yellow line, right? So there's a bunch of those in there. There's actually 16 of them, and I'll highlight them all. There. And I'll render that just so you can kind of see a little bit better. So they're all pointed towards the center, but they're arranged in what we call the linchpin configuration. I want to pretend like you never heard of that before. So there's 1 on the top and then 3 in groups of 3 around that are spaced at 120 degrees apart. And the tilt of these ones on the bottom here is 109.5 degrees in relationship to the top ones. They're creating this flat space on the top and the bottom. And they're spaced at 120 degrees radially. And then inside the model is 3 groups.
Jamie, there's two
part of the
sounds
system,
playing
but we know
simultaneously.
ma-
No, it's got sound in the background.
Oh, while
That's
he's
that's
doing
my
it?
wife talking. We're in the kitchen, and he's just
Oh,
explaining
okay,
this over
okay,
Skype.
okay.
Recorded from a
This
Skype
is
call.
over
Okay.
Skype.
I was confused. Go ahead.
up to 1,000 pounds, from 2.2 pounds to 1,000 pounds. And there's no gravity whatsoever in this model. There's no center attractor. So it's just vortex.
Okay, I guess that was a little confusing. I guess what they're implying is that they came up with a model that doesn't need gravity. There's no center force, right? That's the idea. Gravity is this center force, and things come to it, right? Like things come to it, right? Let's imagine this is the center, right? Things are attracted towards this center, gravity. And they're saying they have some sort of system that doesn't require gravity, right? Now, we've always heard about these UFOs and things like that. I got 2 more clips, y'all. We've always heard of those things about UFOs and how they manipulate gravity. What if they're killing gravity, as Terrence Howard puts it? They don't even use gravity. They found a way around it. That's interesting, because that's not what, the idea is that these UFOs manipulate gravity and use it to their advantage, right? They found a way to control it and potentially even produce it, right? But this is something different. And I find that fascinating, not going to lie. I'm too stupid to understand if this is real or not. But here's all I'll say real quick. When Terrence Howard first came out, like talking about this kind of stuff, math, and I think his big thing was like 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 or something like that, or 1 × 1 doesn't equal 1, or there was something simple, right, that was understood, and he fought against it. And I remember he even did this like talk at Cambridge. I think it was Cambridge. Anyway, this was years ago. He started talking about this stuff, and people just like, this guy's crazy, right? But I'll be honest. I mean, look at it. He's here on Joe Rogan now. I mean, little by little, he started to do things and work with people. And so I don't know, right? It's like sometimes you hear him and you go, this guy's full of shit. He doesn't know anything of what he's talking about. And other times you hear him and you go, well, that makes sense. Really, we just need smarter people than me to see if he's onto anything. And some people think he is, God, every time I see my missing tooth here, y'all, it drives me insane. Anyway, still working on that. Yeah, so, just like the UFO topic, don't count out Terrence Howard, man. Who knows at the end of the day? Honestly, some of the stuff he spoke about reminded me of when I interviewed Ashton Forbes and some of the things he spoke about. Dude, Ashton Forbes and Terrence Howard talking together, that would be an interesting conversation. Ashton, if you're watching this, dude, you should try to get Terrence on your show. That would be a sick conversation. That would be cool. And Ashton's got a bunch of stuff going on with MH370 and, new things he's uncovering, regardless of the videos, in my opinion. I just saw that. I got a loose fly flying around here, y'all. It's summer. I've been keeping all my doors open. So we got to deal with it. Anyway, let's go to the next clip here. I'll tell you what. Either way, Terrence Howard is interesting to listen to. At the end of the day, that's all I'm really looking for. How much am I actually going to learn on a podcast? A good podcast, in my opinion, is interesting to listen to. And, well, it can serve many purposes. Sometimes it's just left in that moment. Oh, that was great. And then I'm done with it. Or it inspires you to look into something else and learn more about something. But you're not going to really learn too much. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm watching the wrong podcast. I guess I shouldn't say you don't learn anything. You do, but it's a different way of learning. There should be like a university degree that you can get just by listening to podcasts. That'd be interesting. All right, here we go. Again, don't count them out just yet. Hear Mr. Howard out.
And every quantum mechanics and quantum physics equation has that square root of 2 in there. We've been living in this lie, this fostered lie, for so long. Because
And what's the solution to that?
the solution is learning how to multiply volumetrically, how the universe multiplies. And I've already produced all of these things.
Could you explain that, though, to the layperson? How does the universe multiply volumetrically as opposed to the way...
It does not move, does it linearly. It does not walk on. All of our math is based upon a two-dimensional projection. What they do in calculus, they will reduce the action of all things. They'll keep trying to reduce it down to one moment because they believe Newton's first law that everything moves in a straight line, or everything is still until acted upon. They forget that everything is in motion, and that concert of motion is a necessity. They have to include all the other forces involved in order to have equanimity in their equations.
And so how, in a practical sense, does this affect mathematics?
Well, once we let go of Cartesian space and the 90-degree angles, well, picture this. Let's take another practical place. Look at a computer chip. It has all of these 90-degree turns on it, typically, where they run the electricity. Can you imagine running at 186,624 miles a second in one direction, and you hit a wall, and you've got to stop, bounce off of that wall, and then you pick up your speed and you bounce off the next wall, and you bounce off the next and next and the next and the next. How much heat are you building up? How much friction is being built up from the interference in comparison to if it was just spherical, just going around? It would build up no heat.
Interesting. So, again, he's interesting to listen to. I guess there's a few different things there. Real quick, I'll comment. So this idea that, I guess, circuitry would go in a circle. I don't know. Circuitry, circle. I don't know. I don't build chips. I don't know how information runs like that. I mean, power lines are straight. Cables are straight. Like, they don't make 90-degree turns, or do they? I don't know. That's interesting, to say the least. Is that how data works, though? It can move at a 90-degree angle, the same as going straight, I think. I don't know. But the idea that the universe is expanding volumetrically, is that what he said? Look, he did bring up something in this podcast that I found interesting, talking about the universe, things like that. Like this idea that they talk about the universe expanding but not contracting, right? And his whole thing was you breathe in, you breathe out, right? And that's how everything works. It's got an in and an out. It's sort of a, right? It's so the universe can't just be expanding infinitely, right? They're just like, it's got to be like a, I don't know. It's interesting. He made some interesting arguments, sort of cause and effect, right? Light and dark, right? Like there was this, you had to have one without the, you couldn't have one without the other. Again, he compared to sort of breathing. And I found that interesting. Look, he's a smart guy. There's no question. And some of these thoughts are above my head. Not going to lie. Some are not, and they don't make sense, but that doesn't mean anything. Who knows? Look, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people in the comments like, oh, nothing's over my head. I understood it all, and he's a quack. Or he's onto something. I don't know. The comments are going to be all over the place. I could probably promise you that. Yeah. So, interesting. All right, I got one more clip here. He is an interesting guy for sure.
The lie.
If you're right, so many people are wrong.
Everyone's wrong. Oh, well, the universe backs me up. And I have the proof of it. You have all these physicists that's saying something different, but none of them have 97 patents. None of them have introduced a new form of flight with unlimited midair bonding. None of them have discovered 4 supersymmetrical systems. This is what we've done. This is what the collective is able to do when you put yourself into the divine space. Because that spirit is waiting. It's just like, okay, are you going to make yourself available for it?
So let me ask you this: if I had a magic wand and I allowed you to not just show this, but allowed all of these people that have these opposing ideas, you debate them, you duke it out, you emerge victorious, okay, with this magic wand, and now people go, just listen to Terrence. What do we do?
Well, then now we write new axioms and new postulates based off the real wave conjugations. Now we adjust our understanding of our physics to fit natural phenomena. And then we are in balance with it, and we have to let go of the idea of this currency. We're the only creatures in the known universe that uses currency, that uses an indirect form of payment instead of a direct exchange. We have to get past that point, and that's the hard thing, because this entire world is run on that, and that's where the 1 × 1 = 2 came into its real birth.
Well, the thing about currency is it's connected to technological innovation because of this unlimited potential for growth. And when you have an unlimited potential for
Again, very interesting, man. You know what? Let me just say this real quick right off the bat. Joe Rogan, in my opinion, he's been on a tear recently. Like old school Joe Rogan, great conversations, interesting guests, interesting things to talk about and to listen to. And I appreciate that, to be honest. It has been kind of old school Joe Rogan. And this is just a fascinating conversation to listen to. And look, again, the things that Terrence Howard says, he's such a anomaly, because an enigma, right? Because it's like he'll say some things you're like, wow, yeah. And other things I'm just like, what? But who knows, right? Look, he can't be right about everything and everyone else is wrong. I'm sorry. He should know mathematically. That's just impossible. Could he be right about a few things? Sure. And this whole thing about new flight that he mentioned, that's interesting, right? So what happened is that he works with a lot of people, and he gets like the science community involved. That's what's cool about him, right? At the end of the day, forget him, whatever. It's the community that he's helped build. It's really cool. And people came up with this, like, they did this like drone contest. And I'm not sure the details. Y'all can look it up. But he, they may have discovered this like new way of flying. They had people flying drones. I mean, a ton of people, right, doing different things and videoing it. And I think there was a contest. Anyway, regardless of how you feel about his thoughts, or if he's right or wrong or telling the truth or not, or bullshit, or what, he's putting his money where his mouth is. He's doing things. He's getting communities involved. They're doing things. Science, and that's cool. I think that's really cool, actually. He puts people into action, and what more could you want from someone, right? And if he does really have 97 patents, I mean, okay, I don't have any. I don't know about you watching. Probably don't have any either. I'm sure some of you are about to put in the comments that you do. And maybe they're simple ones. Maybe they're whatever. Who knows? Who cares? He is doing things, but that doesn't mean he's right either, right? So I guess only the data will tell. Eventually people would jump on and find out, right? Why would they ignore it? But who knows? It's sort of like the free energy thing. Would killing gravity, as he put it, how would that change the world? And what does he mean by kill gravity? Like he wants to kill gravity on Earth? Or is he saying, I can kill gravity and we can use it in certain occasions? That idea, right? I don't know. Maybe we need gravity more than he thinks. Just think about if your whole body works off of gravity, your blood, your everything, you know what I mean? Think about it. Like you can't just get rid of gravity, right? Your bones, your muscles are a certain way because of gravity, right? So maybe we need gravity. Why kill it? Right? Maybe it's like, oh, the light is bad, so let's figure out a way to stay out of the light. It's almost like, how do we use gravity? That's why the idea of UFOs, manipulating gravity is a romantic idea in the sense that it's like very enticing, like, oh, that's cool, right? Because it's something we fight against, right? With immense power, right? Just to get out of the atmosphere, fighting Earth's gravity to get, into space. And just how we deal with it every day on Earth. Think of the people who fall from a high point, right? Parachuting, all that's all gravity, right? Defying gravity. So that's why it's an enticing idea. Oh, can manipulate gravity, can use it to our advantage. Can build a bubble and move through time and space. Or maybe is what's happening to these vehicles. They're killing gravity and able to move through time and space so easily because just like a mouse clicker on a screen, shoo, shoo, just zoom around. That's interesting. Right? That is interesting. So, again, link in the description for Terrence Howard's interview with Joe Rogan. He also goes into this story about how he, because he's also an actor, right? He was in the first Iron Man. Loved that movie. He did. Dude, I think he won an Oscar. Or he got nominated for sure. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's like it's hard out here for a pimp. Remember that song? Something like that. God, I wish I could remember. He's like a rapper, a Memphis rapper. Mine. It's not mine. He was great in that. Empire, first season or two. It was good. He's a great actor, too. God, there was another movie that he did where he did this like whole naked fight scene in a shower, like some prison movie or something. Like that was a good movie. God, who else was in that? That was a good movie. He's a good actor. And that's why it was unusual for this transformation, right? But in this interview, he goes into sort of the complications behind getting pushed out of Marvel, right? And not being, I forget the guy's name, Rhodes, whoever his name is, Rhodes in Iron Man, right? And Don Cheadle takes over. So he tells that story. Now, he's told that story before, but it was, updated, I guess. Tells the full scope of it. And, kind of feels like he's being blacklisted a little bit by having all this knowledge and information. I mean, that's a common theme, right? So I don't know. Again, in my opinion, it's a great interview to listen to or to watch, whichever. So yeah, Joe Rogan's on a tear right now. Old school Joe Rogan. Anyway, all right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow on Monday's video, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, y'all. Got some great stuff coming out this week. And by the way, as I go out here, Jon Stewart's coming on the podcast again. So I've confirmed it with him. He's going to be doing a live stream with me this coming Thursday. I'm not sure what that date is, May 25th or something, or 24th. So this Thursday at night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, live stream with Jon Stewart. I'm just going to do it. Round 2, baby. So props to him for agreeing. Respect. And we'll see how that goes. Should be interesting, to say the least. All right, we'll see you on tomorrow's video, y'all. Remember, every day's a gift. Peace.